Fans cried over this heartbreaking news when Annie Shephard, the woman often described as the quiet heart behind one of Britain's most beloved television presenters, decided to open up during a recent emotional interview. No one could have predicted the depth of what she would reveal. For decades, Ben Shephard has been a symbol of warmth, composure, and good humor, a man who can make anyone feel at ease, whether they're standing beside him on Good Morning Britain or nervously facing the drop zone on Tipping Point. His charm seems effortless, his smile constant, and to millions, Ben is the picture of vitality and joy. But Annie's quiet confession painted a very different portrait, one of vulnerability, pain, and private strength that few could have imagined. Annie Shephard has always avoided the spotlight. She prefers her life out of frame, supporting her husband's demanding television career, raising their 2 sons, and nurturing a calm, loving home away from the glare of cameras. So, when she recently sat down for a charity event discussion meant to highlight family resilience, her tone turned unexpectedly personal. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke of Ben. "He's always been everyone's rock," she said. "But sometimes even the strongest people hide the heaviest burdens." Those words immediately captured attention, because for years, Ben Shephard has seemed unstoppable. His early morning television starts, his rigorous filming schedule, and his ever-present energy led many to assume he was simply built differently, one of life's tireless optimists. But Annie's heartfelt words suggested that behind the endless professionalism, Ben had been quietly facing a private health challenge, one that tested not only his endurance, but their marriage, their family, and their very understanding of what matters most. Friends of the Shephard family later admitted they'd begun to notice small, almost imperceptible changes. Ben looked thinner during some GMB broadcasts. His laughter came more softly. He rubbed his temples between takes, and his usual post-show energy seemed replaced by quiet fatigue. Those who worked closely with him assumed it was exhaustion. After all, Tipping Point was filming longer than ever, and Ben's devotion to detail was legendary. But Annie noticed more. At home, she saw her husband wincing when he bent to tie his shoes. She saw him rubbing his chest late at night, brushing off her concern with a joking, "Just getting old, love." It wasn't until one early morning, around the time he'd normally be leaving for the studio, that Ben's health took a frightening turn. According to a close family friend, Annie found Ben sitting on the kitchen floor, pale and disoriented. He'd felt dizzy after standing up too quickly, and moments later, he fainted. It was the first time she'd ever seen him truly helpless. Paramedics were called, and although Ben regained consciousness quickly, that moment changed everything. Tests were ordered, and the results revealed a long-term condition, something Ben had unknowingly been battling for years. While details remain private, sources say it requires careful management, rest, and ongoing treatment to prevent further complications. Annie later reflected, "I remember looking at him and realizing he'd been holding this all in, pushing through the pain, smiling through exhaustion. He didn't want to worry anyone, but it nearly cost him everything." The diagnosis became a wake-up call. Ben, who had always lived at full speed, suddenly had to face the one thing he'd avoided all his life: slowing down. He began canceling appearances, stepping back from certain commitments, and taking time away from the Good Morning Britain sofa. To outsiders, it looked like a well-deserved break. To those close to him, it was survival. Annie became his steadfast carer and confidant. She restructured their days: healthy meals, gentle walks, quiet evenings with old films and cups of tea. "She made our home feel like a sanctuary," Ben reportedly told a friend. "When everything else felt uncertain, Annie made it safe." Through it all, Annie never faltered. Friends describe her as the calm in the storm, graceful, composed, rarely letting emotion show in public. But those same friends know the truth. She has cried more tears in the past year than she'll ever admit. She doesn't let him see her cry, one confidant shared. When Ben's struggling, she stays strong. When he's asleep, that's when she lets it out. Annie's dedication has not been unnoticed. Within ITV circles, colleagues speak of her with reverence, the unseen pillar keeping one of Britain's most favorite presenters standing tall. "She's his anchor," a producer simply said. "The rest of us just see the smile. She's the one who makes sure it never fades." Despite his challenges, Ben refused to let his illness define him. He continued to appear on Tipping Point, occasionally on This Morning and at charity events, always maintaining that signature optimism. Viewers began to notice subtle differences. He looked leaner, perhaps more reflective, but the humor was still there, that infectious laugh that makes Britain feel like everything is going to be all right. Behind the scenes, though, every workday was carefully planned around medical treatments and recovery periods. Ben, never one for self-pity, focused on gratitude. He told Annie, "If I can still do what I love, even a little slower, I'm lucky." Annie's emotional confession in that interview made clear that their relationship has deepened through adversity. "We've been through our share of challenges," she said, her voice steady. "But this made us really look at each other. It reminded us that love isn't about the big moments. It's about showing up every single day, even when you're scared." Friends say the Shephards now prioritize family time more than ever. Weekend walks in Richmond Park, Sunday dinners with the boys, quiet nights with old films and cups of tea. The small, sacred moments that mean everything. Though Ben has remained mostly private, he has occasionally hinted at his changed perspective. During one Tipping Point taping, after a contestant shared a story about recovery from illness, Ben grew visibly emotional. He paused, smiled faintly, and said, "You never really know what someone's going through, do you? That's why kindness matters, always." Fans flooded social media with support. Many wrote that they'd sensed something deeper in Ben's words, something that spoke from experience. The ITV community has rallied around him. Kat Deely, Lorene Kelly, Susanna Reid, and Kate Garraway have all quietly expressed admiration for Ben's resilience and for Annie's strength. Behind the curtain, colleagues say production schedules have been adjusted to give Ben flexibility, allowing him to rest and spend time with his family. It's a rare gesture in the fast-paced world of television, and a testament to how deeply respected he is. "He's the kind of man who's always there for others," a crew member said. "Now, everyone just wants to be there for him." Annie's openness has sparked a wider conversation about men's health and emotional honesty. Her willingness to speak publicly was not easy. She explained, "Ben didn't want sympathy. He wanted privacy. But I told him, sometimes sharing the truth isn't weakness, it's courage. People need to see that even the strongest among us have limits." Her words have struck a chord across Britain. Social media pages have been filled with messages from viewers who say Ben's story inspired them to book medical checkups, slow down, or simply appreciate the loved ones in their lives. It's the quiet ripple effect of a man whose kindness has always been contagious. Today, Ben and Annie are embracing a gentler pace of life. Ben continues to host Tipping Point, but spends more time at home, gardening, cooking, laughing with his sons over rugby matches. Friends say the Shephard's home radiates peace. There are still hard days, still doctor's appointments and moments of uncertainty, but there is also light, the kind of light that comes only from gratitude. "We don't need much anymore," Ben told a friend recently. "Just time together. That's the one thing you can't buy back." Ben Shephard's journey reminds us that even the brightest smiles can hide private battles, and that true courage often comes not from being unbreakable, but from choosing love and laughter despite the pain. His story, and Annie's unwavering devotion, stands as a quiet anthem for every couple who has faced fear and found strength in togetherness. As Annie said beautifully, "You don't choose the storms life gives you, but you can choose who holds your hand through them." And in Ben and Annie Shephard, Britain sees exactly that: a partnership built on laughter, resilience, and a love that refuses to fade. If you've been touched by this story, let us know in the comments how Ben and Annie's courage resonates with you. Don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with others who believe that even in our darkest chapters, love can still be the brightest light. Because as Ben Shephard's